Welcome to the Virtual Ball Boys podcast. My name is Chris, and I am joined once again by my good friend, Matt.
I have a special guest here with me today. Remy, do you have anything to say to the lovely people listening at home?
I heard a lick.
He did lick his face. All right, cool.
Yeah, good. I heard a blim. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Remy. I greatly appreciate it. Our first guest host of the season 5 of the Virtual Ball Boys. Is Remy a Bears fan with you, or is he...
I mean, the Bears have won 3 games since I've known him, so.
If anything, you're gonna highly encourage him to not go in that direction.
Yep.
Okay. All right. That's fair. Yeah. I mean, there's not really a lot of dog team. Like, there's the Browns, but I would not let my child be a Browns fan. Right. I think we've kind of established that. But yeah, I don't know if there's that many dog. There's a lot of dog teams in college.
Yeah.
A lot of Bulldogs and Wolverine or not or
no
just
Remy.
Wolves. Or,
Wolverines are not wolves, actually. They belong to the mustelid family, so they're more related to weasels and otters and ferrets.
I see. Huskies. There's huskies.
There's
couple of huskies.
Yeah.
In there. Yeah. So we could find Remy a place. We had to send him to dog college though.
Dog college.
The College of Dogs in I don't know, University of Washington or whatever.
His major would be in making funny noises.
Yes. They have quite an esteemed group of faculty there. Welcome everyone to week number 4. It's a good week. Exciting week. Got some nice matchups coming up this weekend, including a London game that could be watched either normally or with the... What is it? Is it Disney Plus this is through?
ESPN Plus. Both games are on ESPN Plus. The usual broadcast and the funny broadcast.
Okay, they have a second broadcast where they're going to make the game look like it's taking place in Andy's bedroom from Toy Story, which is a very interesting idea. Matt, You said you're going to watch it, correct?
I will definitely be watching the toy broadcast. Now, here's the thing about the toy broadcast.
Yes.
I will 100% be watching it. Mm-hmm. However, this is what happens when you let CEOs be creative and you don't hire writers. Yes. By the way, congrats on the WGA for the tentative deal.
Boom. There you go. Good stuff. Yeah. It's... And I guess by us doing a mid-seg about this is kind of like trying to encourage the idea even further. Yeah. However, that said, I as people who have followed us for a while and know the VBFL and the wild stupid shit that we do with that, you know how much we enjoy putting characters and worlds in what would happen if all these characters played football together. So we're gonna have a discussion about other simulated universes that could work with football, because there's a lot of... I think that there is quite a few places and things we could check out, and I want to come together and decide on the definitive one that we want to see next after the Toy Story one. Something that maybe is a little bit more creative and actually is... made by writers in some capacity than just a CEO fever dream. Although, granted, wasn't this idea around before the writer's strike?
I'm sure it was. This is just, I'm anti-CEO, so
yeah, and as you should be. That's completely fair. Anyways, we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna do our week 4 picks as well. But before we do that, let's talk our 3 games of the week in terms of the recap. I'm going to just skim through game of the week real quick, because it's just expected that this was going to be the game of the week in some ways, just because of who the teams are, and it's the Chargers at Vikings.
Absolutely.
Just because it's just one of those games where you know it's going to be a fun time, mainly because it's either going to have some exciting moments or it's going to frustrate the fuck out of you, and there is a bit of both for both teams in this game. I think the highlight more than anything was near the end of the game, where the Chargers tried to ice the game away by going for it on 4th down deep in their own end zone. I liked the decision. I think they fucked up when it came to the play call. I think they made a dumb move in terms of I like trying to I forget what they even did, but it was such an asinine weird move that the Vikings, whose defense has not been really playing that great, to easily be able to read and stop it, and then they perfectly set it up so that way the Vikings could go for a touchdown deep in their opponent's territory, and not only it would be for the win. But then, of course, the Vikings just kind of fell apart at the goal line, and the Chargers ended up taking away an interception and winning the game. Just the story of these franchises, Matt, because you have the Vikings, who are now 0-3 in one-score games through the first 3 weeks, which is the polar opposite of what last year was. And then you have the Chargers, who, yes, walked away with the win, but then lost Mike Williams to a torn ACL for the rest of the year. So it's just one of those games.
It is, yeah, it's the most Vikings and most Chargers game fucking possible over the past few seasons. This win probably saved Brandon Staley his job.
Potentially?
At least for a little bit longer.
Yeah. I think it's a little surprising to see both of these teams. Well, I mean, the Chargers were not 0-3, so I guess them being 1-2 would not be too surprising. I'm a little surprised. I'm not very high on the Vikings, but I'm a little surprised to see them 0-3 through 3 weeks.
I mean, they're all through one-score games, but this is kind of the only one team has made the playoffs since like 2002 that started 0-3.
Yeah, we knew coming into this week that one of these teams were going to end up being 0-3, barring a tie.
Yep.
It's just weird with this offense, the way the Vikings have so many weapons. And granted,
literally,
the running game has not been great, but you know.
Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson are on their way to breaking records.
Yeah.
If they continue playing on the current pace that they're at, they're going to both have career seasons on a team that will not make the playoffs.
It's really upsetting.
Do you want to hear the worst part about the Vikings loss?
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson was about to become the first NFL player with 150 yards in the first 3 games. He did it in the first 2. He had 149 in the 3rd game.
Good Lord, man. Yep. So is the way of the Viking. So we'll see. They got an interesting. There's 2 0-3 matches this week, which I think is fun. It's basically all the 0-3 teams are facing each other this week. So that we'll see how the Vikings do in the 0-3 off, and then the Chargers, of course. I think they're playing the Raiders this week, so we'll see how that goes.
Yep.
All right, but to be fair, this is the next game we're talking about. And very rarely would I say a blowout is a game of the week, but this really could have been the game of the week. And
I was even going to argue that this should be the game of the week, and another one is the emotional blowout.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's true. Like, this was not necessarily a banner week for close games. The Chargers and Vikings was one, but there was not really a lot of close games this week. But we got one of the greatest blowouts of the century, of maybe the league's history, or at least up there. The Broncos at Dolphins, where the Dolphins scored 10 touchdowns, and never kicked a field goal, and the Broncos scored 20 points in this game, so like I mean like
so that's pretty good, right?
But but somehow lost by 50. It's quite insane. 70-20 is your final score in this, and Matt, I think the Dolphins are okay. I think they're pretty good.
I think the Dolphins are like. I again, like what we've been saying the whole time, it's not fucking rocket science. When Tua's healthy, the wildest part to me about it, and I'm not salty, I promise. Jalen Waddle being out, their number 2 receiver was out, and they still scored 70 points.
Right.
I'm not salty because I totally didn't need him for fantasy, but
sure. Yeah. And like you had Achane ended up their running back was their like big star. He had it was 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 receiving touchdowns, and that didn't even account for half the touchdowns that they scored in this game. Like it is wild. Everyone was really a star for them. Like even the offensive line, which I think has been like this team's weakness, played very well against the Broncos defensive front, and nothing went well for the Broncos in this game, and it was magical. It's one of like most times when people see a blowout, people just want to turn the TV off. This is one of those blowouts where you just want to keep watching because the Dolphins are just so damn fun to watch.
They really are, and like Mike McDaniel has grown into such like a great character too.
Oh yeah.
Like no one in football right now is like Mike McDaniel.
He's like he is what we would be if we were head coaches.
Exactly right. Yeah.
I mean, obviously not nearly as smart as him, but like it just the sense of like he's just a dorky guy who likes football and is very good at what he's doing.
Yeah.
And in terms of running offensive schemes and
here's the narrative that I love. Mike McDaniel grew up in Denver. Was the ball boy for the Denver Broncos. Yeah. The Denver Broncos did not interview him for their head coaching vacancy. Sean Payton says Tua will probably get benched sometime this season for performance issues. Or for performance-related reasons. And then they score 70 fucking points against the Broncos.
Yeah.
Somebody has to get fired for that. It doesn't matter who, but I feel like just morally, somebody has to lose their job.
yeah, Vance Joseph, who was a former Broncos head coach.
Yep.
And been their defensive coordinator. Yeah, he might be feeling a little heat this week. Sean Payton. We didn't get a chance to really talk about this because we were busy with VBFL stuff. But in the off season, had like a little bit of a big deep dive interview for a magazine. I'm not gonna remember who, but he basically was just shit talking the Jets.
Hackett specifically.
And Hackett being like, this was the worst head coaching job in NFL history. I believe was about around the idea, the quote that he put out there. Maybe now that you're 0-3, Sean. Maybe it's not necessarily Hackett's entire fault. You know what I mean? Like like maybe it was just the team, and maybe you don't have the magical touch that you think you do. I've got
something controversial to say, Chris.
What's that?
Sean Payton hasn't won the game since home team came out.
Fuck. You're so right. You're absolutely right. We really should have been asking questions about Sean Payton's character when he was totally fine with Kevin James playing him in his movie. Which, by the way, speaking of Kevin James, where the fuck did all these memes of Kevin James come from? Like, this has just become a thing.
It's literally media. It's just one of those memes. It's a funny picture of him shrugging on the set of King of Queens. That's it. But everyone just decided, like, okay, this is the meme we're gonna run into the ground today. That's all. It's nothing to do with Kevin James. It's just the picture in meme culture.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny. Don't get me wrong. There's been some very good bits with it. I'm just like, I just feel like it has come out of nowhere. Yeah. And now I saw multiple pictures. Our friend Mickey has been retweeting on Twitter, and Mickey's like, why are these are like pictures? I guess the King of Queens like cast or at least
I've seen there's some weird ones.
Like they're posing in very sexual ways.
Yeah,
and you're just like
that didn't happen on King of Queens.
And it's just like what's happening? Yeah, like this is a CBS show or whatever the fuck. It was just like a random sitcom. Like what are we doing? Anyways, yeah. So Sean Payton has not. You're right, Matt. He has not won a game since Home Team hit Netflix. We need to keep track of that this year. We'll see if it continues this week. And look, what a way to set up Dolphins Bills, right? Like, and we're not going to talk about it necessarily, but the Bills had a very good game against Washington.
Yeah,
blew them out. Even though I think a lot of people thought like, okay, maybe that game could be close because Washington has been a little frisky. Like, no, that was a complete dismantling by the Bills, and now those two teams are facing each other. Like, I love that rivalry is just so much fun now. Like,
it's such a better rivalry than like anything involving the Patriots.
Yeah, my thing is that I've always loved it from an aesthetic point of view. I love those blues clashing against each other. Like it's very to me it's a very aesthetically pleasing football game. I'm sure many people would disagree. I just like tacky things. But there's just something about that I've always like, man, I just wish this actually had meaningful football behind it, and now it does, and it's great. Yeah. I cannot wait for this week. Anyways, chaos of the week. There was a lot of that too. And I went with the one that I think is the most obvious, and the one that I think ties back to when we did our draft of zeros last week. The Cowboys at the Cardinals.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
what are we doing? So this is, but to be fair, like, obviously no one saw this coming because the Cowboys had an amazing first 2 weeks, and Cardinals were frisky, but like were losing like we expected them to.
Yeah.
But like, I guess we should have seen this coming because this is what the Cowboys always do. But, huh? Like I'm so confused by that game, by that result.
Yeah, it's silly.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, the defense didn't do that much. Dak Prescott threw a terrible interception near the end of that game, and just in general, they just kept on. The Cardinals' defense been playing pretty decently. Josh Dobbs, I think, kind of doing his job too. I mean, nothing spectacular, but they're winning the games. Or
they are winning the games. Let him buy his jersey at the team store. If you haven't seen that clip.
Who did that?
Josh Dobbs went to the team store to try to purchase his own jersey, and they didn't have it in the registry.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, all right. I guess that kind of makes sense because
he joined in August. Like, I get it, but
yeah. Like, I guess it's a little too soon. But Jesus Christ, yeah. I mean, he's Josh Dobbs. Just let him have his own jersey. Anyways, I'm not worried about the Cowboys. Like, it's fine. Like, these things happen. I'm maybe worried that they're gonna fuck up like this in January, but that's down the line.
I feel similar about the Ravens losing to the Colts. Like, this is like, these blips happen. The Colts beat the Chiefs last year in week 3,
right?
And the Chiefs went on to win the Super Bowl. So, like, who's to say the same thing can't happen with the Cowboys? Shit happens.
Exactly to your point. Like, week 3. I always forget about this with week 3. Week 3 is the week that we get slapped in the face with like, wait, what? Huh? Wait, how is this? What is this? Why is this happening? What the fuck? Like, week 3 is usually the what the fuck moment of the early season. Then we start to kind of get into a groove of like, okay, no, we're starting to get things established, and then by mid-season we still get a slap in the face, and we still don't know what the fuck we're talking about. Like, the NFL is just a constantly changing flow, and we will never know exactly what the fuck is happening. It's good that way. All right, let's talk about this, Matt. We got this Andy's bedroom Toy Story thing's happening. I don't know why they're doing it for the London game specifically. I guess it's just because ESPN Plus has the coverage for it, so they
already had it, so
yeah, they were like, all right, let's just do it for this. Because I'm like, what does Toy Story necessarily have to do with the British? But fine, whatever. I like, from the clips that I've seen of it, it doesn't look great. I mean,
Well,
it will be impressive. It'll be impressive once we see the action, and I'm sure there'll be actually like something more substantial there. But it kind of right now it kind of looks like an indie video game developer doing things in Unity, like just a very basic 3D model.
Yeah, I mean,
stuff.
thinking about it logistically, like they have to animate it in real time. And it's obviously going to be delayed, so they have to have something that they can very easily move the pieces around with.
Yeah.
And then quickly send it to display. I know for a fact that I'm going to get a display on my phone, or like a notification on my phone, like, oh, Calvin Ridley just made a big play. Right. And then it's not going to happen until like a minute later on the screen. Yeah.
Like this is one of those games where you just kind of have to put your phone face down or just turn off alerts or whatever, just to be like, all right, let me just find out by watching this. Yeah, it's fine. I'm talking a little shit, but I'm impressed by it, and if I could afford that technology, I would buy it immediately for us to somehow pull it off in VBBFL.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Like I am talking. That is not happening. That will not happen. I don't think I will ever make that amount of money in my lifetime. But that would be an incredible thing if to have like, oh, how cool would it be to have these worlds and then use them and have the little players running around. So I was thinking when this was announced, and as we're talking about, like, what universes do we think inherently would work for this concept? Meaning, like, what would get people to watch, or at least what would be the most interesting to see play out? For you, Matt, like, when you think about all the types of animated, all the things that you watch so many cartoons, movies, like you are very much like you're in that world. Yeah. What to you do you think is a easy universe that could fit with this kind of football game?
Easy's not maybe the right word, but you know, I would want to see this in much more like, you know, with characters or like animated things that can be more expressive than just like, oh, it's people or toys, right?
Right.
So my first, and I think toys is a great like first Toy Story. Like in this, Toy Story is like the perfect first thing to do.
I think so. Yeah.
My favorite Pixar universe is Monsters Inc. Having all the different players be different kinds of monsters, I think would be very fun.
Yeah, I like the idea of the customization of that.
Yeah,
like,
it can be. You can have so many different things, and obviously, you know, people are going to be different sizes, and most people are like shaped like people, so that may be really hard to like animate to be totally different. But
sure, I mean, I think you could probably assign for each position group like a specific type of monster. Like I could totally see that working out. I really like that. The two ones that immediately came to mind, because it's just the two universes that I feel like make the most sense the moment you hear them. I mean, and mainly because this particular franchise has dipped its toe into football recently and has been for the past few years. Is SpongeBob, right?
Yeah.
Like the fact that like I don't know so much about like the players on the field. But like aesthetically, like the stadium would look great. I forget what the stadium in this universe is
Shell
called.
Stadium.
Shell Stadium. Like Shell Stadium.
Sand Stadium.
Yeah. Like it could look really, really cool. They even actually have I was doing some research on this. They actually have a SpongeBob like what would you call it, like stadium or map or whatever. Like they actually have a SpongeBob field in Madden 21.
Oh,
like,
shit.
they actually put it in Madden, and so I was just like, okay, so they actually have like something that they could then program characters around in there. And then let's not forget that Patrick Starr is a amazing football broadcaster.
Yes, that's not what he wanted to cook. Will go down in history of the greatest call, like, in sports. Miracle on Ice, fuck that. Patrick Starr.
Patrick Starr calling a Russell Wilson interception is easily by far just one of the best. Like, so to me, it's very easy. And then of course I have to throw in a video game in there, and again, I'm basic. Mario, just throw Mario in there. Like that universe to me is, you could really do any sports with Mario in the Mario cast. I think in a similar vein to the Monsters Inc. thing, we could do like where you have like specific like Mario enemies represent specific position groups. Like I think it's, or even just have everyone be Charge and Chuck, but like on the field, right? Like that's an easy way to do that. And then like there's a lot of like aesthetically pleasing stuff you could do, fill the stadium like you do in the Mario baseball games. Like there's a lot of ways that they could go about it. A lot of cool sound effects that they can include with that. Great soundtrack stuff that you could do with that too. Like I think that there's a lot of cool stuff. I really want a Mario American football game. It ain't gonna happen, but that's just a dream of mine. I since ESPN Plus is coming up with this, I did want to throw one more out there, just because I think it would be stupid. Can we get a Cars one? I was
going to curse you out if you said Cars. Fuck Cars. They're just cars. What can they do? What can they do?
How funny would it be?
How do they throw a ball? How do they catch a ball?
But can I just tell you, I would watch the fuck out of that because of how stupid it would be. Because it would literally just be like the car driving down the field, and the football would probably just land like on like a mirror, and just like, and then just like keep going into the end zone. Like it would just be really stupid animations, and just yeah, that's very good. I like it for its stupidity. I think they could pull it off. In that vein. Do you have any others that you would like to throw out there?
Not really, no.
Yeah. I think the Monsters Inc. one is probably the one that makes the most sense in terms of who the company that's actually doing this, and would probably do something along these lines again at some point. And I think the way that they can elevate it, because right now, yeah, like the player models are just kind of like, they're just generic player models right now. They look like toys inside of Andy's room. They probably could do a lot of more interesting things if they had a Monsters Inc. version of it. So yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. I'm excited. I'm gonna be. I might not be able to. I might be at a fair on Sunday, so I might not be able to watch.
I will do my best to relay.
Yeah. You text me any reactions, and of course we'll talk about it on the podcast next week. Hopefully it's a good game. I more than anything, like, I don't even care how the game itself looks. I'm more curious about like the presentation. Like, are there going to be commentators? How are they going to do touchdowns? Like, what does the area just around them, outside of it just being Andy's room, like, are certain Toy Story characters going to show up? Like, those are all things I'm very curious about. So, yeah. Good stuff. All right, let's get into our week 3 picks. Or week 4 picks, I'm sorry. Week 3, Matt, you won the battle, my friend. You went 10-6. You got your guarantee, did not get your chaos. So you got 4 points. I went 8-8, but got my guarantee at the very least, so no losses for me on that front. So you also won the Super Fucko.
Thank God.
In that vein, yeah.
I was in the bad
side of it.
The bad side of the Super Fucko. So
right, yeah. So that was an important one to win. So you ended up taking the lead on the overall records. You have a 29-19 record, 10 points in total. I have a 27-21 record, with 7 points in total. And that's where we go and transition to our week 4 picks, which I forgot to open up. So, Matt, would you be a dear and start with the first game of the week?
2-1 Detroit Lions take on the 2-1 Green Bay Packers. It is a battle for the NFC North. And with how the other two teams in this division are faring right now, This will set up this will set up a team for success going in the future. So very important matchup, almost too important of a matchup for Thursday Night Football between the Lions and the Packers. Who do you think is going to win?
Yeah, between the primetime games this week, this is easily the best one by a long shot. And yeah, it's kind of shitty that it's on Thursday night because that automatically decreases the quality. I'm gonna go Lions. I'm not super confident about that. I liked the comeback that I saw from the Packers on Sunday a lot, but I just feel like this Lions team is starting to they did well enough against the Falcons to make me think that they could also take out the Packers, since the Falcons also took out the Packers. I know that's not usually how it works. But I just believe in this Lions team.
Do you think the Saints score another field goal at least if Derek Carr doesn't leave with the injury?
I think that probably played a factor. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I think that makes it a very clear Lions pick for me.
Yeah,
I'm not counting the Packers out, but the Lions have shown more.
Yeah,
and
totally
even with all the injuries, and they should be getting some pieces back. The Packers will. They haven't played at 100% recently.
Right.
And the only, they've beaten two teams. One is the fucking Chicago Bears. The other is a Saints team who they, had to come back 17 points by when their quarterback went down. So, the Lions have proved more up to this point than the Packers have.
Yeah. Totally fine. Next up.
Speaking of the toy game.
The toy game, Atlanta Falcons at Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars, of course, are kind of struggling. They're on a 2-game losing streak. Been a bit of a rough road for them as of late. Now they're taking on a Falcons team, which did get their first loss last week. It seemed like they could not get much going on the offensive side of the ball specifically. What do you think is going to happen in this game?
Yeah, this was a bit of a hard one. I'm actually kind of excited for this game. Like the fact that these two are the ones that are facing, I think makes it a very interesting matchup. However, it is in London, so it's a Jaguars home game. So I'm gonna pick the Jaguars.
That was my thing too. This was a hard one to pick. I initially was leaning Falcons because I really don't trust the Jaguars defense. That said, I think that there is something different about the Jaguars when they go to London and even after they go to London. Like, I feel like they kind of are used to having like slow starts to the year, and then all of a sudden they go to London and then everything is peachy for them. So I believe in this Jaguars team, so I'm picking them.
Alrighty. Alright, matchup of the century, Miami Dolphins versus the Buffalo Bills. Miami, after just putting up 70 points on the Broncos, versus the Bills, who are looking pretty good. It is taking place in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Do the Bills have a chance?
Oh, God. I can't pick against the Dolphins after what they did on Sunday, man. It's hard. I think, like, look, the Bills are looking much better after their Monday night loss in week 1. I feel like they've really put it together, and I could see them dominating on the line, but I just feel like this is the time for the Dolphins. It feels like they could really put something together here and go on a run, and I could see them winning this game. So I'm gonna go Dolphins. But I hate picking against the Bills in this one.
I feel like the Dolphins just like need to have be given respect for what they did.
Yeah.
So I'm also gonna pick the Dolphins.
Yeah.
It's not a guarantee at all.
No,
but the Dolphins are I think the Dolphins will take this.
Yeah, totally. Next up, the Denver Broncos. we gotta do it, man.
No,
Denver Broncos and Chicago Bears. Man, this has been. By the way, the Bears had a week.
That shit came out on Wednesday, after we recorded.
Yeah. There was a whole saga about Justin Fields blaming the coaches, and then him backtracking and then them hugging on the field, and then Alan Williams, the defensive coordinator. Wild rumors spread very quickly about the FBI being involved with him, but that ended up being false. But he stepped down that same day, and then over the weekend, it sounded like there is some sort of inappropriate behavior that got him fired. Like, it's a mess, is what it is. It just comes down to it being a mess, whereas the Broncos are in their own mess of after being completely and utterly ducked on. More than any other team in the century of the NFL. So, where do we possibly go with this?
I will say this, Chris.
Yeah.
The Broncos have a quarterback and a wide receiver who one can throw the ball to the other.
Yep.
In Russell Wilson and Marvin Mims.
Yep.
And that is what will win the Broncos the game.
Yeah. There you go. I'm also picking the Broncos, and I'm guaranteeing it.
As you should. As you should. Fucking deserved. Fucking hell.
You know what? Look, this I'm playing fast and loose here, I recognize, but man, the Bears have like one of the worst defenses in the league.
This might be one of the worst teams of all time.
It's bad. And so I don't know, man. There's just something about this. Here's the thing. We get the Bears this week on Sunday, then we get them playing on Thursday night against Washington. I think those are your last two games with Eberflus. That's what I believe at this point. Anyway. I just hear you like hyperventilating, laughing into the microphone right now. Yeah,
it's not fun. Listen, I saw a tweet earlier that like perfectly describes like how the hell that it's been being a Bears fan.
Yeah,
where we had Jay Cutler, John Fox comes in, wants another quarterback. Cutler leaves. We get Mitch Trubisky. John Fox gets fired. Matt Nagy comes in, has Trubisky, wants another quarterback, gets Justin Fields. He goes away. We get Matt Eberflus. Now he's going to want a new quarterback. So, like, it's just, it's a never-ending cycle. We can never fucking align, like, who wants what.
I do not think Eberflus survives this season. He shouldn't.
He's not gonna make it to the end of the season.
He's not. At this rate. Absolutely not. It's brutal. Next game.
Baltimore Ravens versus the Cleveland Browns. Baltimore did lose to Indianapolis. Cleveland had a nice win against Tennessee. Watson's kind of trying to finding a bit of a groove, although it is Tennessee's defense, defense. Meanwhile, the Ravens a little bit beat up, but are going to try to bounce back after their close loss to Indy. Who do you think is going to win?
God, this Browns defense is so good, man.
It's a really good defense.
Yeah. Like, I as much as, I want to hold my grudge forever, man. It's just, I hope, if worst case scenario happens and this team ends up making it to the Super Bowl and winning it, I hope the story just is their defense.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is, ultimately. That's what's winning them these games. Is just
Don't worry, Chris. We got the Dolphins.
That's true. Yeah, the Dolphins should take care of business. But no, it has legitimately been great, and I think right now, I as much as I want to pick against them right now, I'm gonna go Browns just because I think that this is gonna be a tough test for a Ravens team that still might be a little shorthanded this week after having a lot of injuries going into last week.
I will defer. I will pick the Ravens here.
All right.
I think they might still be a little bit beat up, but I think that Indy was more of a blip.
That's totally fair
compared to their full potential.
Totally fair. The Cincinnati Bengals at the Tennessee Titans. Speaking of that Titans team, coming off that brutal loss, and of course the Bengals, who got the win, even though it didn't look pretty against the Rams. Two teams just kind of looking for more dubs. What do you think's gonna happen with this game?
You saw some life in Cincinnati at the end of the last game. If Joe Burrow, continues to improve, I think that Cincy will be able to take care of business and get themselves back into the mix of things.
Yeah, I'm going to defer on this as well. I want to believe in the Bengals. I'm not really happy with the way they're handling it. If I'm being quite honest, I would, especially in a very soft portion of their schedule, I would not risk playing Burrow.
I agree.
No, I know, and I don't think he played that great. I think the people around him played well enough to get this team to a victory. I do like the Titans' front seven against this Bengals offensive line. I think that's a matchup that I'm a little worried about, especially regarding Joe Burrow's injury. And I think that's the matchup that I think will get the Titans the victory here.
All right. Next up, Los Angeles Rams versus the Indianapolis Colts. Rams put up a bit of a fight last night versus the Colts, who managed to sneak a win away from the Ravens. Do you think they'll get another one against the Rams?
I like the Colts. I like the Colts a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious if Richardson's coming back at all. But even still, like, there's just something about this team that just feels frisky, and I feel like the Rams are also a little bit on the frisky side. But I think the Colts could win this game and go 3-1. I think the Colts right now might be sneaking into that conversation that they could win this division this year.
I might agree.
If things break, they obviously they still have to keep on playing like they have been playing. But I don't know. I like the Colts. I'm gonna pick them here.
I will defer again.
All right. Also,
I'm gonna pick the Rams. I did like how they played last night.
Yeah.
We have the star Puka Nacua.
Oh, of course.
Breakout wide receiver.
Yeah. Fun stuff. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the New Orleans Saints. We don't know what the status of Derek Carr is going to be moving forward. It does not seem like he's gonna play this week.
Mm-hmm.
So we will be forced with Winston, but the Saints do still have a defense that should play well. Buccaneers kind of they were a little exposed against the Eagles. Did not have a very good night. What do you think is going to happen in this game?
The Saints are also getting Kamara back this week, which I think is massive.
That's a big one. Yep.
For them. However, this is hard. Because this is this is Marshawn Lattimore versus Mike Evans matchup.
Yeah.
That effect. I originally had the Buccaneers. I think that's gonna even if Jameis is under center, a week planning with Jameis is better than Jameis coming in as a backup.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick the Saints.
I'm picking the Saints as well. Yeah, I feel pretty good about that. I think I still like the Saints defense had a rough quarter and a half or however long Derek Carr was out of the game. Like it was rough, but they are still one of the better defenses overall in the league, and I think they could do enough to stop Baker Mayfield and this offense.
All right. Washington Commanders versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles coming off a decisive win against the Buccaneers, and the Commanders just got spanked by the Bills. Do the Commanders still have some juice left in them?
Man, it would be so like this fucking league to have the Commanders feel like they were just completely like handed the biggest like slap in the face last week, and then to come into here and knock out the Eagles. Like it would make a whole lot of sense, and yet I'm picking the Eagles and taking the bait because I don't want to pick against the Eagles again. Like it's just
yeah.
All right, they're back, they're here.
Until they're 11-0, and I pick the Commanders the next time that they're going to beat them.
Yeah, there you go, perfect.
I'm picking the Eagles. If I didn't say.
Go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, the Minnesota Vikings, at the Carolina. Oh wait, Minnesota Vikings at the Carolina Panthers. Another 0-3 matchup. a match, the Adam Thielen revenge game.
Ooh.
I don't know if he's playing. He should be playing. I don't know.
He should be playing.
Yeah.
He did really well last week, so unless he's injured for some reason.
There you go. And so, what do you think is going to happen in this game?
I am... Oh, this fucking sucks. Both these teams suck ass so much. I think the Vikings' one-score game curse is going to turn around, and they will win this game.
Okay. Cool. I'm Team Chaosing the Panthers.
Okay, fine.
I don't like to do that to the Vikings. I think the Vikings are a better team. I just didn't really like any other chaos this week. It's just where it comes down to. And
that's fair.
And I if Andy Dalton's under center again, I think for some reason that gives the Panthers even more of a chance.
Oh, it does, because Bryce Young has not been playing well. So
yeah, I think that helps, and the Vikings they're very streaky, and I just feel like I could see them going 0-4 here.
Yep. Yeah, it's weird. I don't like this matchup at all. All right, Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Houston Texans. Houston playing a quietly good offensive game. Were able to upset the Jaguars. They may have something going versus the Steelers, who their offense has not been that great.
Yeah.
But their defense has still been pretty solid. So, who do you think between the Steelers and Texans will win this game?
I think it's been tough. CJ Stroud's been very good, and I could definitely see them winning this game. I'm leaning Steelers though, just because I do think that the Steelers defense could be maybe the most difficult of the defenses that the Texans have faced thus far, unless I'm forgetting about a team. But yeah, I think that alone could help the Steelers project themselves to victory.
I'm team chaosing the Texans.
Hey,
I've been very impressed with CJ Stroud, Nico Collins, and Tank Dell in this past game. Like they've got something, they've got a connection growing, and winning against the Jaguars is not an easy thing to do. Unless the Jaguars just aren't as good as we thought they were, but because they've had kind of a slow slump of a start too.
Yeah,
but I like the Texans here. I think that they have the bones in place to upset the Steelers.
Yeah, I totally see it happening for sure. Next up, the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Los Angeles Chargers. 2-1-2 teams in the AFC West. That winner gets second place thus far. What do you think is going to happen?
I think that the Chargers will continue to ride this. They've had some weird stuff, like J.C. Jackson was away from the team this weekend because he's got a fucking warrant out for his arrest.
Yeah.
But then there's weird shit with Chandler Jones apparently being held in a mental hospital against his will.
Yeah.
Which is weird on both sides. I don't like either of these team situations, but I do think that this Chargers offense is going to be no match for the Raiders defense at the end of the day.
Yeah. I'm going to go Chargers. I feel very, very good about that, just because what we did not talk about was the fact that the Raiders were down 8 and on fourth down decided to just kick a short field goal instead of trying.
They needed 2 possessions, Chris.
It just makes my brain hurt.
They needed 2 possessions.
Both of these coaches make my brain hurt. I will take Staley though over McDaniel at this point.
All right. What a week.
Yeah.
What a week. New England Patriots take on the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas upset by the Cardinals last week. Will they bounce back against the Patriots?
I think so. It's tough.
Are you worried that Will Greer and Ezekiel Elliott are going to give them all the hand signals? Give the Patriots all the hand signals?
They may do that. I don't think it's going to matter because Kellen Moore is no longer the offensive coordinator.
It's like saying like the hand signal's like, hey, we're going to punch you in the face. How do you stop the punching in the face? Like that's not like
I don't.
You still have to be able to stop what's going to happen to you.
Look, Patriots have a good defense. They've shown it through 3 weeks. They have a very good defense, and that could absolutely stop the Cowboys. At this point, they easily could lose to this game. But I think that last week was an anomaly, and I think they could bounce back this one. Granted, what we haven't talked about with the Cowboys yet is that Trevon Diggs is out for the year.
Yes, which is unfortunate.
Which is very rough for their defense, but I think that this week they bounce back and kind of adjust without him being there and are in good shape moving forward. So, Cowboys.
I will also take the Cowboys.
There you go. The Arizona Cardinals at San Francisco 49ers. The Cardinals took down an undefeated team last week. Will they do it again this week, Matt?
I would be shocked. Like, the 49ers, like, we thought the same thing about the Cowboys. The 49ers are just one of the units in football right now.
Yeah.
Offensively, defensively. This is a total, like, me perspective, fantasy football perspective.
Sure.
Every running back in fantasy football sucks right now that isn't named Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who has scored, over 100 yards and a touchdown in like the last 8 regular season games.
It's been a rough go of it for running backs, weirdly.
Yep.
The Eagles, the Eagles did well on Sunday or on Monday night. But then you look at the Buccaneers, and boy, there is a difference in those two running games. For sure, it's been rough. I'm also taking the 49ers. Hey, maybe the Cardinals are gonna just be the giant killer or something, but they couldn't kill the actual Giants, so just kidding. I'm gonna go Niners.
Sunday Night Football, waiting all day. Kansas City Chiefs take on the New York Jets.
Mm-hmm.
This was supposed to be a fun quarterback matchup.
Mm-hmm.
How long do you think Robert Saleh is going to keep the Zach Wilson is our quarterback drum beating?
Well, he just signed Trevor Siemian, so I mean, probably like another week or two, and then maybe they'll just turn to Siemian after that. It's brutal. It's just brutal.
It's brutal.
This is a rough go of it.
It's one of those things where if you sell your soul like they did for Rodgers, I don't blame them for doing. Again, this is one that I blame them for, like I do with Watson.
Yeah.
But it's just like you just have the worst luck possible, and now you have to face a Kansas City Chiefs team that just put 40 points on another professional football team.
If they cared so much about wanting to win a Super Bowl this year, why did they not get a better backup quarterback? Like, I understand that Joe Douglas is holding on to Zach Wilson because that was the guy that he drafted, and he thinks that Zach Wilson could turn into something. We have seen time and time again that Zach Wilson is not going to turn into anyone. So,
and he's not doing it now.
Right. So I'm like, what are we doing? Like, why did you think that a 38, 39-year-old, whatever his fucking age is, or 40-year-old, he's in his 40s now, right? Rodgers, whatever. Why rely on the health of that quarterback and just bank that was going to ride the rest of the way and not think like, oh, maybe we need to have someone that is more stable behind Rodgers. It just doesn't make sense. The Jets are a joke. I'm picking the Chiefs.
I'm picking the Chiefs.
And finally, the Seattle Seahawks, New York Giants. The Seahawks got the win last week, and the Giants, they've been shitting the bed on offense. Granted, they play the defenses of the Cowboys and 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll see if they can at all look competent against the Seattle Seahawks. What do you think is going to happen here?
This should be obvious. I have another Monday night guarantee with the Seahawks. I like how the Seahawks have been turning things up. They're not foolproof, obviously. But I do really like what the Seahawks are putting together, and I feel like they're getting that momentum. They're gelling a lot more.
Yeah. I did. I had the Giants picked, and now I'm like, do I want to potentially bury myself with a 6th disagreement this week?
Oh shit.
Because I this was a toss up for me. I picked the only reason why I was picking the Giants was that I'm banking on the idea that they have just fought some difficult defenses, and that maybe things will turn around. But they don't have Saquon Barkley still. Yeah, you know what? I'm talking myself out of it. I'm picking the Seahawks. But I'm just like, it's been really rough listening to podcasts this week and being like, a lot of people are just being like, the Giants as a franchise are just doomed, and I'm not there yet. I still have so much hope of this current regime that they could turn things around. I don't care if it's a losing year this year, but at least things be great next year. But I am just kind of starting to come to the realization that, man, that quarterback contract is really going to come back to haunt them. There's just something about that decision from them that I think is really, really, really going to screw them and the future of the franchise.
Yep.
So
we're in the suck together, Chris.
Yeah, it's rough. Yep, Seahawks though. Picking them. All right. So then that's 5 disagreements. Ravens, Browns, Bengals, Titans, Rams, Colts, Vikings, Panthers, Steelers, Texans, and that is all at 1:00.
Yeah.
So that what a fucking Sunday that's gonna be. We're just all these games are gonna matter for the pick competition. It will be said and done by the time 4:00 rolls around. Very, very nice. So you said guarantee the Seahawks. Okay, I just want to make sure I have it right in my notes.
Chaos the Texans. And if it means anything too, I'm putting fuck, maybe I shouldn't. I'm between CJ Stroud and Russell Wilson for my super flex spot.
Definitely. Oh wait,
so
Russell.
It's Wilson versus the Bears, but Stroud's been doing better than Wilson as a whole.
But
I think this week specifically, I think Wilson is still the play.
I think Wilson's the play. Just because...
I'm also projected to win by 20 points, so I think I should go with the safer option in Wilson.
Absolutely, yeah. Because I think the Steelers still have a unit that they can make things miserable.
Yeah.
Like just to get. I mean, I think the Texans have a very good chance of winning that game. I just matchup wise, you're better against the worst team in defense, the worst defense right now. So there we go. All right. Well, that's going to do it for another episode. Next week, I think it's time, Matt. I think it's time for our premature burials.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Well, some of these are going to be really easy.
Yeah. So we're gonna bury some teams next week after 4 weeks of play, see how everyone is at. It'll be very interesting to see how it plays out. But until then, folks, thank you all so much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed, and we will see you guys next week.
Good night and good ball.